It's a Tuesday night. The neon sign is on. Welcome inside the After Hours Lounge. I'm Jimmy Allen. That's John Schreiner. Brody Heidemann, Dan Campion with us tonight. 402-951-1620 to get a hold of the show. You can also follow the show at After Hours 1620 on Twitter as well. We are brought to you by Bellevue University. If you want to keep up to date on all things Bellevue Athletics, download the BU Bruins app to your smartphone tonight. Are we having fun yet? Nebraska's off to a 2-0 start.
Hey-o.
We're going to break down the Colorado game and tell you exactly how much longer that Prime's got on the leash. Is
Clock's ticking.
Colorado getting a little buyer's remorse heading into game 3 of year 2.
Ticking.
What did we get right? What did we get wrong? And what were we not even close on in week 2 of college football? We will buy or sell on the week that was in college football as well as the week that will be in week 3. At 7:15, we will overreact to week 1 of the NFL. The most downloaded segment of the After Hours Lounge every week last year was the NFL overreaction. So
Cool.
We'll see if that continues this year. And
Hey,
then
we have graphics for that segment this year, too.
What should the expectations for Nebraska be going forward with 10 games left on the schedule?
0-10.
And what's our hottest take about the Nebraska football season this year? Maybe it's 0-10, as John Schreiner just gave you. But first, before we get to any of that, we got to give you our thoughts on Colorado. And speaking of graphics, some of you may remember we put out graphics for our bold predictions for this game last week. Not saying I got 4 out
Here
of 5
are your flowers.
correctly. I'm not saying I got 4 out of 5 correctly. But I told you. That game would be well in hand heading into the fourth quarter. And there was no doubt going into that last period that game was well over.
He's right. He's right, Dan.
He's
the game
not,
was in
but
hand. The game was in hand.
It
Nebraska
wasn't
was-
necessarily in hand.
What did you see that made you think that Colorado was going to be able to put up 18 points in
It was
15
not
minutes?
well in hand,
It was well in hand.
but it was in hand.
You could have gave Colorado 3 more quarters. They weren't scoring 18 points on that defense.
I'm
Zero
just
chance.
gonna say it was not well in
It
hand.
was well in hand. First of all,
We
my
didn't
statement
score it
was-
all in the second half.
my statement
That
was
does
the
not-
game
that does
would
not
be
go
in
well
First
in
of all,
hand.
the game was my statement was the game would be in hand, and it was well in hand heading into the fourth quarter. Secondly, I didn't notice this until the rewatch because obviously you can't tell the future when you're watching it live. Tommy Hill's pick 6 against Shedeur Sanders on the goal line.
Mhm.
When Brian Buschini launched that rocket to set up that goal line situation, I didn't notice Tommy Hill's the one that downed the ball too. So he kind of set himself up in
Yeah.
that situation. Obviously for nothing, but it was like one of those things that was like, oh, I know what happens next. That throw is something that I think NFL scouts should really take a look at, though, when you're talking about Shedeur Sanders, because that is almost.
He didn't look. He just hucked it out
Well,
there.
it's almost the definition of what you don't do in that situation. First of all, I understand Colorado not running the football in that situation, because honestly,
Because they can't run the ball.
I expected him to, and if they'd have lost 2 yards, it would have been 2 points the other way. It ended up being 6 the other way, but it was one of those things. It was almost a guarantee that they're probably going to end up in a safety if they ran the ball. So I kind of understood it, but the scheme and the concept of the play made no sense. Like, you only run that route, that stop and go, if the slot guy is taking a route downfield, because both guys ran 2 short routes, and the only reason to throw that route is if the corner is backpedaling. Well, the corner's not going to be backpedaling if both guys are running shallow routes. So you literally baited Tommy Hill to sit there and wait on that ball and pick it off and score on you. Like, the concept of the play made no sense.
Yeah, it just, Nebraska, I think Nebraska did more to set that up than anything, because if you watch the play back, I don't think Travis Hunter is the primary on that play.
No, he couldn't have been. He's the furthest way.
So they're running, I think it was a post route from the inside. And
No, he just ran a hook. He ran a 4-yard hook. Like, he literally they both sat down 4 yards outside of the line of scrimmage.
Well,
It made no sense.
so
So somebody got the signal wrong. Either they poorly designed that play or somebody got the signal wrong.
what I thought was that the safety over the top immediately came down inside, which means you have to throw to the outside because the corner should be coming off to take the deep half, right?
Yeah, but there's
If the
nobody there.
Right, but if the safety is coming down, then the corner should be like in a normal defensive structure. If the safety's coming down, the corner has to go back and take the deep half.
Right, but
Right?
they didn't run a route deep, though. That's what I'm saying, though.
I understand that.
There was no reason for a corner to go deep, which is why there's no reason
They
to throw that
tricked
pass.
him, though. They tricked him with the coverage.
Okay.
By bringing the
guess I can say-
safety
yeah.
down, that guy should be open now out there. but he wasn't.
And Tommy
because
Hill
the
played
corner-
off. Tommy Hill played off and baited him to throw.
Right. But so they brought the safety down, which in Shedeur Sanders' mind, safety's coming down, the outside route's got to be open because that corner should be going back. He wasn't going back though.
No. And Tommy Hill sat on it and let him see him be open and then closed and like gave a little Conor McGregor strut into the end zone when he scored too.
It was ugly.
The other takeaway I took from not only in the game but in the post game, I think Dante Dowdell is not only the number one running back. I think he's clear cut the number one running back.
We haven't seen him in enough passing downs for me to go ahead and say he's all three downs the guy. First and second down, absolutely.
Being running back number one doesn't mean you have to be a 3-down back anymore, especially when you have the versatility you have in that locker room, in my opinion. I think you could have three guys being on first, second, and third down and still have a clear-cut number one. And a lot of it is because of what Matt Rule said today when he talked about people knowing the playbook and setting the tone. And Dante Dowdell said as much in the play where Shiloh got hurt. He said, I could have made a miss. He wasn't trying to hurt him, but he wanted to send a message, and he clearly did.
Yeah.
And very much in the first, and the two plays that got called back, the two big runs in the second half that got called back were all Dante Dowdell runs. Like, he should have had probably north of 160 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. But he set it feels like it slowly, and it's gonna take a whole nother year of development. But it feels like the building blocks are being put in place for this to be Dylan Raiola and Dante Dowdell's team next season.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody kind of thought this team was a year away from being really good.
Some people.
But look, Dowdell looks great.
Yeah.
He looks really good. He looks physical, not afraid of contact.
And wants to set the tone. He wants to be a tone setter. Another guy looks really...
And he's, of the three backs, it's him, one, and then Gap, Emmett Johnson second as far as vision.
Sure.
Like, his vision,
because Rahmir did a lot of dancing on Saturday that was all for nothing.
And I got really upset with Rahmir when he caught a pass out of the backfield and just stepped out of bounds instead of fighting for the first down on third down.
Yeah, he did that twice, by the way.
Yeah. So Dowdell, like, the physicality and the vision, like, vision for a running back is a thing that I think is like, that's the thing I always look for. Can you get to the lane when it's there? Do you see the gap open where somebody else might not?
Or do you have, and if you don't, do you have the speed to break through what isn't there? And I don't think Rahmir has that. I think he's fast. I don't think he's that level of fast. You know who does, though? Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, he's real good.
Nebraska got an absolute steal out of Miami, and he's been paying dividends. Is it amazing to everybody else in this room how much better Nebraska is at returning kicks and kickoffs than they were a year ago? It's night and day. Like, they were absolutely one of the worst, if not the worst in the country a year ago. And now they're probably in the top 10.
Well, I mean, if you remember when Scott Frost was the head coach, it was
instructed.
Fair catch every single time.
They didn't have anybody that could do it.
Well, how would you know? You never gave anyone a chance to do it.
There was reports out of practice that they just...
Fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, good Lord, man. A fair catch every single kickoff and punt?
To take the step from where it was almost the same situation last year, it wasn't that much different last year, to where they're elite. I think they're elite in kick return and punt return.
I don't know about elite.
Ja'Cory Barney should have broke one on Saturday, and I bet you by the year's done, he gets at least 2 or 3. And to me, that's elite.
Ooh, I don't know.
2 or 3.
And I think one comes on Saturday. When you got the speed to pull away,
I'll give him 1.
By the end of the season, you think he'll have 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. One thing that was not elite was field goal kicking on Saturday. Now, Nebraska only got 1 chance at it, but Tristan Alvano missed one. He does go 4 for 4 in the extra point game, but did miss a pretty chip shot in for 32 yards out. And typically, it's not a huge deal when you're up 3 touchdowns, but remember, this came at the end of the first quarter, and Dylan Raiola was motioning to the sideline, hey, let's go for it, let's go for it, let's go for it. And then they let the first quarter run out, and Matt Rule looked a little irritated. Matt Rule looked very irritated by his freshman quarterback trying to kind of have some influence in that. And then they send the kick team out there, and Tristan obviously misses one.
You cannot miss field goals under 40. Like, this is what we see. When you have
this is why hashtag college kickers is the thing.
Good field goal kickers in college, you always see them. Hey, this guy hasn't missed a kick under 40 yards in his last 23 attempts. Like, under 40 yards, make every time. You have to make it.
Especially if you're a scholarship guy. And
under 40 has to be made.
And again, like, we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the season, and we talked about it last week where it was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't a thing. I wonder, and I said this last week about Dante Dowdell. I did not want to see the fumble on the 7-yard line turn into we have to put him on a short leash situation now.
And I thought they might.
And I did too. And that's why I was very vocal about the fact that I didn't want them to. Now, with Tristan Avani, you've got 2 years, and he's just a sophomore, right? And we've got to reiterate that, but you're going to have some key moments where you're going to need some points this year. But your offense has been clicking to some degree, specifically in the first half this year. I kind of wonder if they start looking at those short yardage situations and going, do we trust Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nayor to get 3, or do we really want to attempt another 32-yard field goal where at this point it kind of feels like a 50-50 situation?
I don't know. But
because right now it feels like they should be leaning towards, hey, maybe we go for it.
Somebody else,
especially with that
somebody
defense.
else needs a shot now.
Sure. Okay.
We have
You're ready to say that after 2 games? I know you had a whole season, but
an entire season,
a whole
plus
freshman
2 games.
season plus 2 games. And
Yeah.
he's only missed 1 this year.
Look, dude, kickers are different.
Yep, I agree.
When you come in as a kicker, you got to be able to make the kicks right now. Like if you're the starting kicker as a freshman, you have to be able to make the kicks. And then when you're a sophomore in your second season, you have to be able to make the kicks.
And I think it's a little more focal point on Tristan right now because, hey, Brian Buschini looks like Boom Sheeny is back. Around. He looks really, really drastically improved. And obviously, we just talked about the kicking game. So I think that puts a ton of pressure on Tristan. Hey, listen, every other facet of this of this special teams position has been improved. And again, he has only missed the 1. But Matt Rule addressed Ed Foley, basically called him out in his press conference today. So you know that they're feeling that pressure.
You've got to make it if it's under 40.
So who else Matt Rule addressed without calling anybody out specifically was the wide receivers. In the second half of this game, the wide receivers basically disappeared. You had the obviously the penalties that caused a couple of the quote incompletion / plays to be called back. You only had 4 passes completed to wide receivers in the second half. 3 of them went to Ja'Cory Barney. The other one went to Jamal Banks, where afterwards Dylan Raiola got the roughing the passer call afterwards. But like you basically, and granted, they were running the ball and they were trying to run clock, and there wasn't really a necessity to push the ball downfield or whatever.
But running the ball wasn't working either.
Yeah, I was about to say, but then Colorado kind of queued on the run game and it took that away, which is why they got some of the stops they did and talked about the penalties. But if you're gonna be Jamal Banks and you're gonna be Isaiah Nayor and you're gonna be the guys that set the tone, because they set the tone in the first half. They were blocking downfield, they were making plays. You cannot disappear in the second half. It's the second time in 2 weeks that position has kind of done that in the second half. Granted, the first game, a little bit of a nuance because you were pulling the reins off and taking your foot off the gas, and you were getting second strings in against UTEP.
But honestly, how many passes did Nebraska even throw in the second half?
I believe they attempted 11. And 1 was caught by somebody other than Ja'Cory Barney. That wasn't a wide receiver. That was a wide receiver.
So I think here's what I saw. First half on Saturday looked like new Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like a new offense that had grown up and was in better hands and had more of a cohesive message about what it wanted to be. The second half of that game on Saturday looked like a bunch of games from last year, where we don't know what we're supposed to do. We're going to try to run the ball. It's not working. We just don't want to lose.
I don't think this is the case, but could you make the argument that first half Nebraska looked like it had Glenn Thomas's fingerprints on it, and the second half looked like Marcus Satterfield?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No. I think
that was going to be my question that I was going to pose to you two, I guess 3 gentlemen tonight, was who do you feel is more to blame for the second half stall? Is it
I don't think it's one
Marcus
person.
Satterfield, or is it the actual players on the field?
See, and I think there's a couple of things there, because Dylan is so good and does have such a command of the offense. Like, it's kind of the reverse effect about what we're talking about with Colorado with the pieces through the transfer portal. Yeah, they've been together for, the better part of 9 months now and working together, but this is still in-game situation number 2, where you've got these 2 big transfer wide receivers. Isaiah Nayor is in his 3rd offense in 4 years. Jamal Banks, he did his time at Wake Forest, but he's still in his 2nd game at Nebraska, and you have a true freshman. They're still kind of gelling together, which is why I don't necessarily say, okay, this is Marcus Satterfield, this part is the wide receivers group, this part's the running back not having their stuff together, because there are still, and this is why I think we've been echoing maybe more than any show on the station, that the Colorado experiment just isn't going to work, because you can't take that many pivotal points and pieces and try to gel them together and get an automatic winner out of the gate. Now you got to have elite locker room presence and elite work ethic. And Matt Rule talked about that with Dylan Raiola today, saying, hey, my freshman quarterback knows all 120 plays in the game plans, my juniors and seniors better have it figured out. And I think that was specifically directed at the wide receiver group.
Yeah.
That you have to have that level of talent, and that's why I said earlier about Dante Dowdell and Dylan Raiola kind of being the pillars of this group, because when you have your starting running back coming out and saying, hey, it was the 6th snap of the game and I was trying to send a message to the other sideline, and your head coach comes out and says, hey, my freshman quarterback knows all 120 plays of our game plans and our upperclassmen don't, that's kind of the passing of the baton of, hey, this is your locker room to police specifically on that side of the ball now.
Okay, I did not read into that comment the same way that you read into it.
Okay.
I put more of my thumb on when Rule specifically said the other day, hey, Dylan's got this kind of energy. Everyone else needs to step it up.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I would put more onto the other pieces of the offense.
Oh, no, that was a direct message. That was, hey, you need to get, because listen, you also say that with the fact that you had 4 very good, very talented wide receivers on your sideline on Saturday. One that is the 11th ranked player in the country, and you're going to actively try to recruit over everybody in your locker room going forward, because that's the precedence that's being set, specifically when you go out and get a 4-star top 100 linebacker like you did in Christian Jones this weekend. There's going to be an emphasis on getting dudes, guys that are going to be difference makers day one when they walk in this program, because that's what they want this to be. They don't want guys getting stagnant and sitting over on the sides. They want to get guys that want to come in and be hungry and continue to win and build this thing. And to me, that was hey, if you're here for a long time or you're here for a good time, better figure it out, because we got guys coming in.
Second half to me, like back to the point, the second half to me looked like a team trying to do what they tried to do last year. The defense is good. Just don't let the offense lose the game.
Sure.
And that's what...
Do you have a problem with it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I absolutely do. Because you need to put an identity on the field. You were not up by enough points to go into a shell.
Okay.
You need to have the identity of your team to be absolute killers. Like, we are going to put you away,
I agree with that.
and we are going to put you away with prejudice. And they did not do that. That was in the, like,
Rule.
Whoever was calling the plays, putting the players on the field to execute that plan, that was a mistake in my book.
And Rule and Raiola basically said that exact same thing. They were like, we could have put up 56.
Yeah, and
like, it would have been great.
And it felt like they wanted to. And it's, man, it's so hard to look at this in hindsight with all the penalties, because there were some explosive plays that got called back. Like, I don't want to sit here and say they went into a shell and they went to what they knew last year. I think there is some of that to it, because it's probably what they're the most comfortable with. But like, at one point, it just felt like, okay, this has turned into a flag. I think it was more, hey, the referees are just getting really loose with these flags. Let's just get out of here, make sure everybody gets out healthy, and we'll reconfigure the game plan next week, because we do have a 3-touchdown lead.
Yeah. I mean, the penalties were ridiculous.
And it wasn't even because, listen, I know a lot of people have been all over the officials about this. The penalties that were called, I agree with 90% of them. The problem is on 80% of the calls, they got the numbers wrong on who was committing the penalty.
Yeah.
So when you look back into the review, you're like, Ramir Johnson is clearly not holding anybody here, but if you look off to the corner, you can see Isaiah Nayor dragging somebody
or
to the
Janiron Bonner.
Yeah, dragging guys to the ground by their jersey. It's like, okay, it wasn't 16, it was 14 or whatever. And it's like, the review guy, I can't remember who it was, the rules expert on the broadcast. My God, he got 9 out of those 8 reviews wrong. Like, the call on the sideline where the Colorado guy, I think it was Horn, they were like,
there's no question.
There's no question that he caught it. He's got full control here, and then they hit play, and you see him grab the ball. Like, the ball is moving when you're saying this.
Like, the ball comes in, it bounces off his arm, and it's in the air, and then he grasps it.
I thought there was
definitely a question.
1,000% no chance this was an incomplete pass. And he's like, there's 100% chance that this is a complete pass. I was like, in what world? Like, are you watching it different? Like, do you have a different angle than we're seeing on this camera? Because that's the only thing that would make sense.
You know what's the only one that he got right? The Ben Scott holding call,
where
he was like, "That's not a hold."
Yeah,
he was like, "That's pancaking a guy." I don't know what he's talking about.
But the problem is again, they just called out the wrong number, because that was on Mazuka, where it was clearly a hold. They just called out the wrong guy.
Yeah,
One last thing. We'll wrap this up on our final thoughts on the Colorado game. Shedeur Sanders gets injured, allegedly gets injured.
He got dinged.
Goes into the locker room 2 minutes before the game's over. He wasn't going back into the game. Do you have a problem with it?
No. If you're injured and you're going to the locker room to get checked out, I have no problems with it.
I don't either. But my issue is it didn't feel like it was hey, we need to like it wasn't a broken forearm like Shiloh.
No, it was a head injury. He was being evaluated for a head injury.
And Coach Sanders said that it was an abdomen issue too. And it was one of those things. It was like, I couldn't wait 2 minutes. Like he clearly was fine walking into the locker room. I don't.
Listen,
I don't necessarily have a problem with it.
To throw shade at Shedeur Sanders. I don't think this is one.
Yeah, but here's the question that I have though. Does that become an issue in the locker room, and is that avoidable? Because I know a lot has been made about the back and forth between him and Travis in the days that have passed. That's to me that is friendly, and that is friendly competition and things you probably should have in your locker room. But so I don't have any problem with that. But when you have your head coach saying, "Hey, you've got to go to my son's rap concert, or you're not going to be on this team," and allegedly, now this has been walked back since then, but there was reports out that when Shedeur Sanders threw a touchdown, they weren't going to let the fight song play, and that they were going to play his rap song over the PA system instead.
So I don't care about any of that.
But hold on. You've got all those things that could be affecting a locker room. I'm not saying that they are. And then something like this happens with 2 minutes left in the game. Like, are you like? It just feels like you're setting him up to fail in that situation.
Sanders doesn't believe in culture, so why are you worried about the locker room?
I just gotta say, why are we even talking about him leaving the field like 2 minutes early? Because if you really want to go to what's going to affect the locker room, the immediate reaction after the game from that man where he says,
hold that thought, because we're going to get into it next because it's really important. We're going to tell you exactly what's next for Deion Sanders, if he could save this thing, and what does the future hold for Coach Prime. If you missed the opening segment tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friend Amber Best with Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate. If you're looking for your forever home, look no further than amberbest.com. That's amberbess.com. Live updates on what's going on in the market, and if she has a listing available for you to buy, and she does tonight, you can head over and get yourself a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,466 square foot split ranch at 505 West Perry Way in Papillion. Check it out at amberbest.com. Find your forever home tonight. We'll be right back. Coach Prime, how much longer does he have in Boulder? We'll tell you when we come back on the other side of the break.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. You know, people come to me and they say, John, I don't know what to wear to Husker games. And I tell them, well, I have your answer. Go to Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, 78th and Dodge, Omaha, Nebraska, USA, and get yourself some of the beautiful Nebraska gear that they have there. Pullovers, vests, polos, quarter zips, whatever you want, hoodies, they got it. It's got the little Nebraska N embroidered on it, and it comes in the best brands on the market. Johnny O, Mizzen in Maine, Peter Millar, whatever your favorite flavor is, they got it right there, Jerry Ryan. They're going to treat you right, and if you're in the market for a suit while you're there picking up your Nebraska polo, I'll get you hooked up with one of those too. Check them out, 78th and Dodge, right in the middle of Omaha. Tell them After Hours sent you. Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
The passing of a legend. Unfortunately, lost James Earl Jones yesterday, and a man that's played a ton of pivotal roles throughout cinema. You got a favorite James Earl Jones moment? Or character?
It's Darth Vader.
Okay.
Come on, he's Vader.
Okay.
I mean, also he's in Sandlot. The guy in Sandlot's great too. But yeah, Vader, the voice of Vader.
Dan Campinen?
Field of Dreams. Every time I hear that speech, it makes me cry for some reason because it just reminds me that life is but a fleeting memory, but baseball is forever.
Brody Heidemann, you're 6 years old. Do you have a favorite James Earl Jones moment or memory or character?
Darth Vader.
Okay.
Easy.
Also, close second, the greatest role of all time that I think he played, Mufasa.
Thank you, Dan. That's the right answer. Mufasa is the best answer.
No, it's Darth Vader.
Simba.
And very underrated.
Goats, my goats. You remember that one?
Very,
Yes.
very underrated.
That
Doesn't get
commercial?
talked about enough. Coming to America. He was great in that movie. Did you know that the mom? I can't remember the name of the actress that plays the Queen in Coming to America. But did you know she was also the voice of Mufasa's wife in The Lion King? I did not know that till like 2 weeks ago. Found that out. But it is time for the Who Wants to Smoke segment. It's Deion Sanders, and maybe even more importantly, the Colorado Brass. Before the game, Deion Sanders was asked how they were going to handle the freshman quarterback in Dylan Raiola, and he said, "Oh, we're going to get to him. We're going to get to him all night long." They didn't get to him.
That's not a plan.
They didn't get to. Well, more importantly, they didn't do it. They didn't get to him one time.
When you're asked about what's the plan to get to the freshman quarterback, oh, we're going to get him.
Yeah, they did
That's not a plan. That's a hope. That's a wish.
So I ask this, and I don't ask this tongue in cheek. I seriously ask you this question: Can the Boulder Brass be disappointed?
Oh, for sure.
But hold on, because think about what he inherited. He took over a one-loss team that was the doormat of Power 5 football.
So this is kind of like the CEO who comes into the company that just declared for bankruptcy that says, "I'm going to get us back on track," and then goes, "Well, I'm actually committing tax fraud, so this is also very cool."
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. I think about it from this standpoint. Like, do you ever think that you can recreate what you had in Boulder in the early 90s? And if you think so, then yes, absolutely. I think you can find yourself.
I think there's a way. There's always a way at a big school.
Is it
at
a
a
big
school with
though?
resources? Yeah.
Is it a school with resources?
Yes.
It would seem to be.
I mean, it kind of feels like all the resources that have been generated over the last 365 days have all come from one direction. People that are supporting Coach Prime and not necessarily the Buffalo on the helmet.
So I don't know if I would say that. They're still a big enough school.
They're in a major conference that with a major TV deal, they are going to have resources.
They still carry a
build
large
program.
enough reputation within just the collegiate universe
You've got
that I think you can pull in certain amounts of dollars. Now,
major population center very nearby.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that you couldn't build Colorado into a consistent winner.
Take your radio host hat off for me for a second and put on your athletic director's hat. How long do you give Deion Sanders to build this? Because he is bringing in revenue. They talked about it on the broadcast. The enrollment at the university is up. Enrollment from the African-American population is up. But you're not winning on the field. Those three other things matter. They matter incredibly. But I don't think you necessarily continue to see growth in that manner. The results don't come on the field.
The standard is what we always say, 4 years.
Yeah.
You got 4 years to prove it. That's the standard, right? You've got a full, like you've recruited guys, and now they've graduated. And if by the time your first recruiting class has graduated, you have proven nothing, then you usually get fired. That's how we kind of do it in college football, right?
I think
you get 4 years.
I think we're all of the volition that Deion Sanders probably doesn't want to be in Boulder after his kids are gone anyway.
No.
I believe that. I think the majority of people do that. Let's live in a glass half full world where that's not the case. And he just really loves Colorado athletics and wants to be the head coach at Colorado. I think you always have the discussion that, hey, he was able to get the number one player in the country to come to Jackson State. He got Travis Hunter to commit to Jackson State. His son is obviously, a lot of people have him projected as a top 5 prospect in the NFL draft. I don't think that's going to be the case after this season, by the way. but he's been able to get talent like that to Jackson State and to transfer to Colorado. And they've obviously got a 5-star offensive lineman. It's a freshman. He's gotten Jimmy Horn Jr. to come there.
Up.
But he hasn't really been able to replicate that first-year recruiting class at Colorado. Now, I think history would tell you that not being able to win on the field would mean that he's not able to duplicate that level of success of recruiting as well.
Also, so many of those guys he recruited left after the first year.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
And that's a terrible, terrible sign to your next recruiting class.
How do you think, like, listen, because even though you're getting the money, and even though you're getting the endorsement deals, and even though you're getting The Rock and Lil Wayne to show up on the sidelines, et cetera, get a lot of attention on a losing program may not be the best publicity you want either. Do you think, and you're having the incidences at the press conferences where he's not allowing the affiliate partner of your school to ask questions?
Yep.
Is there any? Let's say they go 3-9 this season. Is he back next year? If he wants to be, if he wanted to be,
yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
Because I don't think that they're.
That's a regression though. 3-9 to 4 from 4-7 to 3-9, 4-8. Excuse me.
Because I don't think they want to buy him out.
That's a good point.
And you can ride with it for one more year, it being just an attention farm circus. I think after year 3, if there's like in this case, right, being what it is, being who it is, if after year 3 there's no improvement, then you have to start doing something.
Yeah.
Most of the time I would say no, you need 4 years.
My thought would be, though, is I don't know where you would see that improvement come from if Shedeur and Travis are gone. Like, because I think to see improvement, you'd have to build off of this year and say, hey, look, we can make you look like these guys. But I think the belief now is Shedeur had it before he got there. Travis clearly had it before he got there. He was the number 1 player in the country. What else you got to show me that I could become that person? Because, I mean, obviously Jimmy Horn Jr. was very talented before he got there, too, and pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't. The arrow is not pointing up.
No,
for sure. There are not indications that players are being developed. There are not indications that the right pieces are being fit together. There are not indications that the program is being built in a sustainable way.
Yeah, can I just ask like a weird question?
You've already asked several, so go ahead. Does it have to do with Mufasa?
No.
All right, but go ahead then.
Not yet. Does it seem like Deion Sanders is actually coaching this team?
No, it does not.
Because
not at all.
That's my biggest gripe about this whole thing is we can talk until we're blue in the face about what he's doing and how he's doing it. It doesn't seem like he's actually doing anything besides saying, Shedeur, go out there and wing it. And Travis, go out there and
I will say this though.
Try to stop people.
He's not alone in that. You've got a lot of successful head coaches that do that, where they are just the figurehead and the CEO style head coach, and they go out and they get people that are smarter than them and better than them than coaching, and they're just the face of the program, and they're very successful at it. So I don't necessarily know. I would say that's a knock. I think it's probably, if I'm being honest, it's probably better for Colorado if he isn't.
But it seems like he's a bad CEO.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's better if you have. And I mean, personally, I'm of the Mike Leach school of coaching, where you go, yeah, this guy is super duper weird, but he's winning football games and everyone loves him.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Which is what they were trying to do. That's what Colorado's trying to do.
And
it doesn't seem like that locker room likes Deion, like Shedeur.
Instead, you have a guy who's super duper weird and is losing football games.
Speaking of that, Colorado goes on the road this week to Fort Collins, back-to-back road games. We saw that double overtime victory last year in Boulder. 7.5 point favorite over Colorado State this weekend. How much is this conversation even worse in Boulder if they lose their not only they lose to Nebraska, who's a rival, but then they lose to their in-state rival in back-to-back weeks?
I don't know, man. So here's my opinion. I think the loss and the manner in which they lost to Nebraska has already fully derailed the Deion hype train. Like it's off the rails.
I think
now.
we got one wheel off. They lose to Colorado State. I think it's flipped on its side, skidding down the highway.
Yes.
Like, listen to the national media. Listen to the Denver radio host who said he was out on Deion.
That dude was almost in tears too, by the way.
Like, everybody on the national stage is now over it.
Yeah.
Like the national media after the Nebraska
The wool has been pulled
win,
off of people's eyes.
we're just like, why are we paying attention to this? This is a bad football team.
Which is incredible because, I mean, they were clearly a bad football team. And I know I broke my arm patting myself in the back in the first segment talking about the game being out of hand. But that had a lot to do with, like, I didn't believe that they were a very good football team last year. I didn't think they were a very good football team in the Nebraska win.
But they beat TCU, who was a fraudulent top 25 team right out the gate.
They caught lightning in a bottle because they got a completely rebuild by the national runner-up the year prior, who, by the way, lost by 77 points in the national championship game. And then they beat a Nebraska team that was clearly better than them, but the wheels just came off of it. So, and then they were in an electric double overtime game against an in-state rival when there was no other football game on TV on that night. Like, they literally just had the perfect scenario in their first 3 games in this regime.
And then they went to pot.
Which could be literally the worst thing that could have happened to them. Like, I know they like the attention, and I know they're getting a ton of eyes and money from it, but it could end up being their demise in the long run.
I think the difference is now is the attention on Deion has shifted into a way that he is not going to be happy with.
Oh, he's not comfortable at all.
Yeah.
And he 100%, him and Shedeur both are just hearing it from the national media right now. And that's what's scary.
If they lose to take this to the bank, if they lose to Colorado State on Saturday, Shedeur Sanders will not talk to the media for the rest of the year.
The Deion Sanders situation is very interesting because if you look at it from the outside, and I don't know the man's mind, but what it looks like to me, looking from the outside in, is he went to Jackson State and won because he had way more talented players than he deserved to have at that level.
Which is not going to happen at Colorado.
Which cannot happen. Like, even the teams that have ridiculously talented rosters don't always win.
Yeah.
At big boy football.
Remember when Ohio State lost to Iowa that one time?
Hello. So, but his monumental hubris coming to Colorado, thinking that just by his sheer force of celebrity, he could step through the door and create a winning football program, was ridiculous. And it is being
who's more at fault though? Him or the university?
Look,
I think it's the university.
He created the situation for his own hubris.
They had to hire him though.
It's his own arrogance that has created this situation, right? And yes, they hired him and didn't recognize that he was playing with the loaded deck when he was at Jackson State.
That's on them though. Like, you should have known.
Yes.
Like look at the talent level. Like,
but he came into Colorado,
brought his Louis bags with him,
and told everyone he was coming, and like just made all of these monumental proclamations about how
told the previous team that they should be embarrassed for their parents for the results they've gotten, by the way.
And now the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah. I will say this though. My next door neighbor across the street, their kid was on a recruiting visit to Lincoln this weekend. Prime did call over their 8-year-old son and give him his Deion Sanders hat on his way off the field before the game. So he's not a bad person. He is doing things for the right things. I just don't know if I'd necessarily want him to be the head coach of my football program. If you missed the Who Wants to Smoke segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620, wherever you may find your podcasts at. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. It is fall, and that means that you need to get the maintenance done on your HVAC unit. Be prepared so you don't have to be freezing this winter. Head over to controlledcomfort.com and set up maintenance appointments so you can have a peace of mind about your furnace this winter, and make sure the warm weather wasn't too harsh on your AC this summer as well. Check out controlledcomfort.com. We'll be right back. Tell you what we were right about, what we were wrong about, what Brody Heineman doesn't know about college football here on 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Bob Williams of Williams Law. Summertime is over, and if you know somebody that gets out and parties a little bit too hard when the warm weather hits and they decided to get behind the wheel of a vehicle after having too much to drink, we know it's expensive, it's dangerous, it's not worth it. But if you or someone you know is facing a DUI charge, call 402-522-6317 or head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com tonight. Let Williams Law walk you through the process and explain your rights. 402-522-6317 or head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com to book a free, no-obligation legal consultation tonight. 646 on a Tuesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. Register for winter classes today. It's the ideal college experience in the Midwest. It's the ideal radio experience in the Midwest. It's the After Hours Lounge. I'm Jimmy Allen, John Schreiner, Dan Campen, and Brody Heidemann with us tonight. What we got right, what we got wrong, and what we didn't see coming about week 2 of college football. I'll start us off. Because I was right. I've been right since May. I was right in June. I was right in July. I was right in August. I'm right today. Nebraska's good. Nebraska's really good. Nebraska has a chance to win double-digit games this season. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it loud. I'll say it proud.
Yeah, but that wasn't your season prediction.
I'm going to get to the team that I think has got the best chance to upset Nebraska in the first 7 games in a little bit. But this defense, with a mistake-free offense, can get this team to 10 wins, in my opinion.
It's interesting. I still don't think they can get to 10. But
what were you right about?
I was right about Colt McCoy. I tried to tell you guys when we were talking before the season started, Colt McCoy, he's going to be on TV. He's going to be an analyst. He's going to be on the game. I told you guys, this is going to go badly. I said, this is going to go badly.
Hold on.
He's never done this before.
I would like you to remember, John, who was in your corner during that conversation. It was one Dan Campanen who was like, I agree.
You said it was going to go poorly.
Yep.
You did not say this was going to be the worst color analyst that we've ever heard in our lifetime.
I think exactly like the definition of going poorly.
Because I think that was really close to what I think that was really close to what we had. He was awful. Like, he wasn't kind of bad.
And you know what?
He was atrocious. This was going to be what I got wrong, by the way, and I'll just jump in here. He literally sounded like somebody was feeding him lines in his headphones.
It's not even his fault.
Oh, I agree. 100% agree. This is back to the Colorado Coach Sanders discussion. Do you blame the person? You blame the person that hired him. I blame the person that hired him. He was awful.
Yep. This is not a job that you just do, right? Like,
he really wanted you to look at guys.
Just because you're a mechanic, does that mean you can go be a NASCAR driver? No, it does not.
He didn't. I'd like to see it, though. He didn't know guys' names. He was like, this is a really good play by number 45, the linebacker.
I was yelling on my couch with my wife sitting next to me about, don't refer to the players by number. Refer to their name. Like,
he didn't know them, though.
I was ranting about this to my wife.
I feel comfortable in saying, other than probably the media meetings that they had to do, he did zero research on either one of these teams.
I don't believe that to be true.
I'm a little bit worried that I'm turning into John Schreiner, because that's the same thing I was doing to Mary. I was like, why is he talking about numbers?
I was screaming at my television.
I was also right about my college football bets. I got all 3 right.
Boom, 3-0.
Duke over Northwestern.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We have a whole segment at the end of the show we talk about.
Yeah, so my college football bets were also right.
I think I made the ideal comparison, though. He sounded like Nate from The Office.
Yes.
The guy that's like, I'm not technically deaf, but I have a hearing, and he tells everybody the same thing over and over again. He just kept repeating himself in a monotone voice and was bad. He watched one highlight of Troy Aikman saying, you got to watch this guy right here, drawing on the screen, and then did that 64 more times for the entire night.
Yeah, it wasn't
bad.
good.
It was really bad.
And this because it's not a
What's
job.
my man's name that was with him on the broadcast? Paul
Burmeister.
Paul Burmeister. Yeah. Burmeister was clearly like, by the third quarter, he's like, all right, we're just going to lean all the way into the bit. What do you think, Colt?
It's like, this is not a job that you can do just because you know a lot about football. Like,
that was the thing, is he didn't sound like he knew anything about football.
Because
he called an out route a drag. He called a post a flag. Like, he wasn't even wrong about that.
There's a difference between being a quarterback and being a broadcaster, which is why Tom Brady's debut didn't go very well either, which I also told you was going to be bad.
Listen, I was 50-50 on Colt McCoy. I thought it was fine to give him the shot. I thought Brady was going to be really good because Brady's got a really good personality. Now, that doesn't always translate if you don't feel comfortable in the setting you're in, which he clearly did not on Sunday.
Thank you.
And I wish somebody would have told us that.
Wait,
that was John Schreiner. Dan, what were you right about this weekend?
Well,
you getting that too? Okay. I think I might have just broke the board. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. Nothing terrible can happen.
Well, I only have sound.
I hear everything.
I only have sound in my left ear.
It's only technology. So I'm going to say I was kind of right about Penn State. I have said from the start of the season that they are most likely a paper tiger and that they are not going to be as good as everyone has early
they're
season
not
projected
great.
them as. 34-27 against Bowling Green does not a college football playoff team make.
That was close.
And unfortunately for James Franklin, if he doesn't figure out something going into Big Ten play, I think they might lose 2 to 3 games within the Big Ten and miss out on the college football playoff this year. And by missing out on the college football playoff, I think that James Franklin misses out on that thing called a job.
No way.
They're not firing.
There is no way he's getting fired.
I honestly think he will get fired now.
John Schreiner fixed it, by the way.
Oh, no.
James Franklin's not getting fired.
Yes,
And,
it is.
and if he does, he'll
No,
fall
no.
upwards and find another really good
Not
job.
getting fired.
I was wrong. Did I just do it again?
Yeah.
I was wrong. I'm not doing anything over here. This is
it
not
Dewey?
me. Yeah, it's something with our headphone jack.
That's the headphone amplifier that's messed up.
Yeah, I was wrong about SMU. I told you guys a couple weeks ago that I thought SMU could contend for, if not win, the ACC this year. That is not a good team. They struggled against Nevada. Probably should have lost that game. They clearly were outclassed by BYU. They're going to struggle against ACC talent this year. I think they're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't believe in S.
They were really electric a year ago, and
Yeah.
it just feels like they have
Yeah,
no
sure.
gas in the fire
Yeah.
right now.
I was wrong about my read on the Nebraska game. I was wrong about just about everything in our prediction segment for the Nebraska game.
Pretty close. I was going to bring that up later, too.
I said Dante Dowdell would have the least amount of carries,
Oh,
and Emmett Johnson would have the most.
if you're going to own it. You called him Doghouse Dowd.
I did call him Doghouse Dowdell. That is exactly reversed.
Yeah.
Emmett Johnson had 1 carry. Dowdell had the most.
And looked great doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I said I thought the score would be close and that Travis Hunter would score 2 touchdowns. It was not close, and Travis Hunter had 0 touchdowns. I just did not have a read after feeling I had read the opening game so
Yeah.
well. I had it down. I had
You
a
were
great
literally
feel for it.
90% on your predictions.
And then last week, man, I had
See,
I had no read on that.
I
game.
legitimately thought the score of the game was going to be 42-14 with 2 Travis Hunter touchdowns. And I wouldn't say we were wrong about it, but an honorable mention we could throw in here. Like, we might have been wrong about how good Tommy Hill is. He might be elite first-round talent. Like, the scouts might
Who
be
was
right
wrong
this.
about Tommy Hill? Who
We-
was
we-
wrong about Tommy Hill?
It's a
The 2
watermelon
boys
right
on
over the
that
plate.
side of the board.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
Do you know how close I was during our first segment of the night just to
Having-
moving about 10 feet back from the mic and screaming, Tommy Hill!
Oh, don't do that with this modifier being off.
I know.
What
My boy.
what were you wrong about?
I was wrong 100% about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
What the heck happened to
You
the
and me
Irish
both,
this
bud.
weekend?
You and me both,
Also,
buddy.
real quick, shout out to Thomas
Don't
Hammock.
move.
You've gotten the
Hold on. Don't give us flowers yet. We got a whole nother segment after this where we're about to do that.
Oh, perfect. Well,
Spoiler alert for the social media soundbite.
oh, is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Something I didn't see coming. It may be it may be Nebraska. It will likely be Michigan. Probably not going to be Ohio State. But they're 2.5-point favorites against UCLA this weekend. Indiana's good, and they're going to upset somebody like Kurt Cignetti. You folks in Bloomington, you better wrap him up real tight and hold him real close to your hearts. You may not be able to keep him very long. He has been able to listen. It's been against lesser competition. Indiana has looked really good and really clean through 2 games.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
What did you not see coming?
0-2 Florida State.
Oof.
I had Florida State winning the ACC. I had Florida State as a top 4 seed in the college football playoff.
They're probably not going to make it.
They might not be in the field. They might not sniff the college football playoff.
Oh, I don't think they do.
They might lose to Memphis this weekend.
Hold that thought because that comes up in buy or sell. Dan, what did you not see coming?
A cyclone
Mm.
moving into
Mm.
Iowa City and just blowing that team around all freaking day.
Well, second half anyway.
That
Yeah.
second half stagnant considered to the week before with Kirk Ferentz being on the sideline this time. That is not a great look for your boy.
When your coach pregame has a special walkout song, obviously not Kirk's choice, but that Iowa chose to play for him,
Kinda
that
hope it
many
is.
men wish death on me. Let me tell you
It's
something.
just called Many Men, but go ahead.
It's actually many men parentheses wish death upon me.
Keep going.
You
Curtis
doing
Jackson.
your rap
You want
arguments.
to read the liner notes with me
Keep
too
going,
next?
Curtis Jackson.
I was just
That's 50
absolutely
Cent's real name.
happily
I know.
and surprised by Iowa State this weekend.
Yeah,
and
they look good.
I'm extremely happy to just see that college football map that everyone has been posting every single week now, with basically the entire state of Iowa in cyclone red. Nothing can make me happier than seeing that right
Have you seen the Big Eight? The Big Eight map?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bring it
6
back.
of these 8 teams are ranked. Would make a fun conference.
Brody, could you add me to the stream? I don't know how I got kicked out, but that was what we were right about, what we were wrong about, what we did not see coming this week in college football. If you missed it, head over to soundcloud.com/afterhour1620, wherever you may find your podcast. That is brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. It's a Tuesday. You can come back tomorrow and celebrate Wing Wednesday with us. That's right. You can get yourself a $25 gift card to Cunningham's tomorrow just by following us on social media and sharing out the gift we post. But it is a Tuesday. You stop by one of Cunningham's 2 great locations tonight, either off 108th at Old Mill or in the Blackstone District. Grab yourself a brisket French dip with caramelized onions, Swiss cheese, horseradish on the side with that amazing au jus sauce that Derek and the team cooks up. It's all in a huge hoagie roll. Stop by Cunningham's, grab dinner and drinks tonight. We'll be right back. Give me the social media soundbite here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Forsman's Finest Decks. Maybe your house is just getting a little dull and you need to spice it up a little bit. Why not spice it up and enjoy the finer things in life? Have Travis and crew come build you a deck, put a cover on it, add that something that your house has been missing. Head over to forsmansfinest.com. Have your dream deck built this winter. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha. .701. We're behind the clock tonight, Brody Heidemann. You're fired. This hour is brought to you by Bellevue University. If you want to keep up to date on all things Bellevue athletics, download the BU Bruins app to your smartphone tonight. We already gave flowers to James Earl Jones, obviously the legend that passed away. So we're going to pivot to something else for the social media soundbite tonight. If you didn't watch, Dan kind of alluded to it. There was a crazy weekend in college football. And here, Brody, play this whole thing. It is a bit long, but it's worth it. Go ahead and play the social media soundbite tonight. This is the part where you press play. That obviously is the head coach of Northern Illinois, Thomas Hammock. And if you haven't noticed, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame in South Bend this year and got $1.4 million to do so. What wasn't featured in that clip was the end of the game where Omaha Westside alumni Cade Haberman was able to get in and block the game, attempting winning field goal and block it for Northern Illinois to give the Huskies the win in South Bend and the biggest win in football program history.
But Northern Illinois has kind of a history of jumping up and biting people.
Yeah, they did in Lincoln once. People forget.
And they've done it other times too. Like this is a program that has a history of being a thorn in the side of supposed bigger programs, like and literal bigger programs. So,
well, and
I mean,
listen,
it's surprising. It's surprising that it happened, but it's also like if anybody was going to do it in Northern Illinois, does you're like, yeah, they do that sometimes.
Well, and listen, it's cool for around here, not just because of Cade, and obviously he was a big reason that they won the game, but Ben Gustafson is out there, Jake Gassaway from Millard South. I mean, Jake Applegate is out there now.
Dude,
so I mean, there's
Nebraska
a ton,
really well.
There's a ton of Nebraska presence on that team. So very cool, not only for Northern Illinois, but
Casey Popish from
Casey Popish, good call. Yeah, a lot of local flavor on the Huskies team, and very cool to see them walk into South Bend, get this win, get a check for doing it with a ton of Nebraska flavor on the rock. Oh, Joe Stein from Grand Island's out there too.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, Thomas, if you hear this segment and you want to check your DMs on Twitter, there's one unread one from about a year ago. If you want to respond back and hop on this show, let me know.
We'd love to have you on. We give you your flowers often. If you missed the social media soundbite tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhour1620. It was brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If you're the business, if you're the decision maker in a company, or maybe you're the owner, and when you Google your company, you don't see the Google reviews you've earned, or maybe you don't even see your business at all. Maybe your Google business profile doesn't exist. Let our friends at Pixel Fire Marketing build you a Google business profile, engage your brand online, and increase your business's social media presence today. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details. We buy or sell on the other side of the break. We come back. 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for AX Plumbing. Listen, it's that time of year where tree roots are kind of finding their way into your drain or maybe into your pipes, and it just keeps happening. You don't have a long-term solution for it. Let our friends at AX Plumbing come out, diagnose your issue, and find out a long-term solution for you. Even if you don't have the financing available to do it, they'll help you with financing for approved customers as well. Head over to axpservice.com tonight. Work with Nick and his team on getting your financing situation figured out for your plumbing problems and fix them long term. Again, it's AX Plumbing at axpservice.com. 7:09 on a Tuesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Fall is about here, and maybe we're starting to see a little bit of moisture behind the glass of your windows. That's not supposed to happen. Head over to pyramidroof.com, book a free estimate, have them fix your windows, roofs, gutters, and siding issues today. It's time for Buy or Sell with Brody Heidemann, where he has these. The pride of Gretna, the pride of all of Gretna,
Gretna
is
East.
with us tonight.
No, all of
go
Gretna. He said all of Gretna.
I
Gretna-
mean,
Gretna's favorite son is in the house tonight.
alrighty, guys.
Low bro.
Oh, come on. We haven't talked about it much. Oregon struggled with Idaho in week 1 and were in a dogfight at home against Boise State. They go to Corvallis this weekend for the Civil War. Buy or sell that the Ducks should be on upset alert this weekend.
They should be? No, they are.
Mm.
Oregon State's going to win this game, guys. I'm
Nope.
calling that shot right now.
Oregon should be on upset alert.
Fear the Beaver.
Yes, they will not be. They'll figure it out this weekend. I still believe that Oregon is going to be really good. They're still working out the kinks with the new quarterback.
He has not been the problem.
He has not been the problem. The defense has been a problem.
Oregon
Well,
State,
The defense was a
field
problem
goal
this
in
weekend.
overtime to win the game.
Ooh.
Call him a shot.
No. They should be on upset alert based on how they played in the first 2 weeks. It won't be as close as the first two.
Their run game is not
Very
good.
suspect, yeah.
Dante Dowdell is kind of.
Glad he came to
I
Lincoln.
think he's at home now.
Number 2. Or Dan? Buy or sell? Oregon? Upset alert?
So they're not going to be on upset alert. It's still Oregon. It's still the Duck. Quack, quack. The Duck is back.
Beaver fever, baby.
Turn up the quack.
Oh, Dan. Michigan is dropped to number 17 in the AP poll this
Love it,
week.
nice.
Buy or sell, the defending champs will finish this season in the top 25.
Dan's favorite poll, the AP poll. They're number 17.
We
in
don't
said
need
poll.
this now.
I buy. I think they fall all the way out of the top 25. I think they go 7-5 at best this
I
season.
told you all I found 4 losses minimum on this schedule when we were doing our preseason predictions.
Remember when Dan said they were going to win the Big Ten?
I'm telling you that this Michigan team is very flawed, and they lost a head coach and
But
a
of
quarterback.
course
and
they
a
are,
running
right?
back.
I mean, like, why is this surprising to people? I get it. They won the national championship a year ago. They lost everything except for their running back and one linebacker. Everything, including their head coach.
I feel vindicated at this point. Like, I told you that
Like,
Michigan was going to lose minimum 4 games.
Ask Stanford how they feel after Jim Harbaugh left.
Yep. Ask the 49ers in the
Shut
interceding
up.
years after Jim Harbaugh left.
Screw you, Chip Kelly. Dan, you got thoughts on your boys?
Yeah, so they'll finish in the top 25.
Oh, okay.
It's not really.
It's a hot take.
It's not really that hard of a prediction, guys.
Yeah.
They lost to Texas
by 954 points.
by like 17 points.
Have you seen their quarterback?
Have you seen their team?
Have you
it
seen
wasn't 17.
Texas?
Doesn't matter.
By the way,
There's a
I just
few more
I,
than 17.
I just
yeah.
want to say horns down forever.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll allow
Texas
that.
is still a trash team led by a trash quarterback with trash orange uniforms.
Quinn Ewers pretty good.
I
Those
will
19 points.
I
by the
will
way.
dogpile that man until the day that I die. You
I'm
don't
actually-
get to have a mullet.
He doesn't have mullet anymore. Have you not seen Fansville?
I know he doesn't have a mullet.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad mullet though. Brody,
Terrible. Memphis is a sleeper pick for the college football playoff this year. That is just wild to say. They have not only won, but covered in their first 2 games. They get Florida State and Tallahassee this weekend. Buy or sell, the Tigers can hand the Noles their 3rd straight loss to open the season.
Florida State hadn't gone 0-3 to open up a season since 1976 before they did it in 2021. What's the common denominator here? Mike Norvell was the head coach then as well.
Whoopsie.
If-
Hey, don't you love Mike
I
Norvell?
do love Mike Norvell, but if he has 2 seasons in 4 years where he starts off the season 0-3 with losses to teams like Jacksonville State, Memphis, and Wake Forest, he may not be long for the world of Tallahassee. I think Memphis wins this game too. That's hot prediction number 2 in this
All
game.
right. I know I hinted at it earlier. I actually have picked Florida State to win this game.
Yep.
I think they'll beat Memphis. Like, they played Georgia Tech, who's way better than we thought they were going to be. Although
Agreed.
they lost last weekend.
Syracuse. Kyle McCord is that dude, by the way.
I'm telling you,
He got the raw deal in in Columbus. Although
Boston College,
they look pretty good too.
Boston College has one hell of a college football coach
Yeah.
in Bill O'Brien.
How the hell
who we forgot Bill O'Brien can coach college football.
Actually, raise your hand if you forgot that Bill O'Brien got the head coaching job at Boston College before the season started.
No, like that dude
Totally forgot that was a thing until I was like,
dude
oh yeah.
can coach college
he's,
ball.
Yeah, he's really
like
good.
sometimes guys aren't fit for the NFL.
When he was listed as the guy that it was going to either be him or Matt Rule and Lincoln, I was like, oh boy, that's two really good situations to be in.
That dude can coach college football.
You think he gets the look in Tallahassee if Mike Norvell gets?
I don't know.
Listen, I think that might be their first call.
So they played two teams who jumped up and bit them in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think that Memphis can do that. I don't think Memphis has the kind of talent
Unless that locker room's quit
to go into Tallahassee and get the win. I just don't see it happening.
That was Bar Sell Tonight. If you missed it, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhour1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. Listen, maybe if you're like me and you're 1,000 miles away from your house and your wife texts you and says, hey, the air conditioner isn't working. You need a professional. You need local. You need Controlled Comfort. Head over to controlledcomfort.com tonight. Set up a maintenance appointment. Get some peace of mind about your HVAC system this fall, and make sure you're got a peace of mind for winter time as well. Head over to controlledcomfort.com to book an estimate tonight. We'll be right back. Overreacting to week 1 in the NFL here on 1620 Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. You hear Bob come in the studio and talk all of the major legal issues surrounding the world of sports with us, and you hear the great knowledge he has regarding the law and how it's applied to different situations. Well, if there's a situation that needs law application in your life or someone you know, then you need to get a hold of Bob. Call him at 402-522-6317 and get yourself a free, no obligation legal consultation. What does that mean? Bob's going to walk you through the process with your specific charge in mind. He's going to tell you your rights and how he plans to represent you in court. No matter what that situation is, whether it is a criminal or civil situation, Bob has the expertise needed to give you the proper defense. And with a no obligation legal consultation, you are not obligated. You don't have to pay him money up front to get that initial meeting with Bob. So give him a call, 402-522-6317, and get the answers you're looking for. Or check him out at williamslawllc.com tonight.
7:21 on a Tuesday night here on 1620 The Zone, our Monday. Appreciate everybody joining us for the 2 hours of the After Hours Lounge. We're brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. If you've been affected by the seasonal storms this year and you still haven't had your roof looked at, maybe you don't know if you should be working with an insurance agent, check out pyramidroof.com and book a free estimate today. It is week one overreaction time in the NFL, and I'll go ahead and start us off, Brody, if you want to throw the graphic up for us. Kirk Cousins is not going to make it to week 5 of the NFL, folks, before it's Michael Penix time. The offensive line is bad in Atlanta, specifically in pass pro. They're pretty good at running the ball. They're not really good at backing up on the O-line down there in the ATL. Kirk Cousins looked slow before the Achilles injury last year. He looks like he's got cement shoes now. He's not going to hold up. He might not even make it past this week. I'm going to give him a little bit of courtesy through week 5. Number 2, the Carolina Panthers, at a minimum, need to spend their next 4,977 draft picks on the offense and defensive line because they've got nothing on either side of those balls. They messed up by drafting Bryce Young. That has nothing to do with Bryce Young. Clark Kent himself could be under center for the Carolina Panthers, and it wouldn't help behind that offensive line. They can't run the ball. They can't stop the run. They can't rush the passer. They need a lot of help that skill position guys just aren't going to be able to mask. This team might legitimately go 0-17. They're not good. And it has nothing to do with quarterback play. I feel really bad for Matt Rule, for Bryce Young, for anybody that has to be in that locker room in Charlotte. And then my number 3, maybe my hottest take, I think the Dallas Cowboys are the second best team in the NFC. For a team that had all the bad vibes in the world 2 weeks ago, man, they sure looked good, and it looked polished against Cleveland. It looked like an improved team from a year ago.
Detroit might have something to say about that. Detroit still looks pretty good.
Anybody seen Amon-Ra St. Brown lately? I think he was on a milk carton on Sunday, by the way.
Didn't matter.
John, you want to go and give us your NFL overreactions once we get your graphic up over there on the left-hand side? There we go.
Okay. Number 1, call him laundry because Deshaun Watson is fully washed.
Whoa.
His performance against Dallas on Sunday was an embarrassment.
Yep, I agree.
Houston was so long ago for Deshaun Watson.
It feels like a whole career ago.
He looks completely washed up. Like, he has no confidence. He has no arm.
That's what Cleveland will do to you,
He
folks.
has nothing. There is a shell of a quarterback starting for the Cleveland Browns. They need to cut bait, especially in light of the new allegations. Like, he's done. This is over.
24 of 45, 2 picks, the 1 touchdown for 169 yards. A
Awful.
QBR rating of 9.3, by the way.
Fully washed. Number 2, Washington's defense is so bad that Jaden Daniels doesn't even matter.
Hey, your boy looked good on Sunday.
He looked good. He was doing some really good things running the ball, even if he can't sort out the defense that he's seeing to throw the ball down the field yet. He's making some plays, and it doesn't matter because I've told you this for so long. Washington burned down their defense at the end of last season for absolutely no reason. They didn't need to. They were already going to have a high draft pick, and they just traded it all in. 2 great defensive players, got basically nothing back, and that defense is garbage. Number 3, I also have a hot take.
Hey, Luke McCaffrey had 3 catches, by the way. Good.
Saints are going to win the NFC South.
You know what? I almost put this on my list.
The Falcons are bad.
Yep.
You said as much. Carolina is the worst team in the league by a large margin.
It's not even close.
And then you have Tampa.
They're good, though.
Tampa
I think
looks
they're going to
good.
be good. I think
Tampa looks good.
Even hotter take, both those teams make the playoffs this year.
Tampa looks pretty good. But I think the Saints, look, there's no reason to believe in Derek Carr. Except that for some reason, he gave us a reason to believe in him. Like, I just feel like this is the year the Saints win the South.
He only had 4 incompletions on Sunday. 200 yards exactly, 3 touchdowns, 19 to 23, and a QBR rating of 84.9. Derek Carr balled out on Sunday.
And the defense was fantastic. Like,
but they're so bad. Like,
eat your heart out, Mike Elsevier.
Yeah.
Saints are going to be good.
They get the Cowboys on Sunday, though. So we're going to find out if they're for real or not. But, yeah. Dan Campinen, let's get your graphic up on the screen there. And we'll go over your picks.
I heard the click. The Steelers, so back.
Oh, here we go.
And by back, I mean they're in mid-season form already, baby. What are you going to tell me about a Steelers defense that's
So they're
just
going 9-8?
bone-crushingly great? Justin Fields is doing enough. But
he played football, that's for sure.
can we talk
Have
about
you seen
the
his
fact-
passing chart? Did
Hey.
you see Justin Fields' passing chart?
He
Yes, I did.
It looks impressive because he went 17 of 23, but the fact that he threw one pass over 6 yards has
And
a lot to do with it.
nothing between the hashes.
Yes,
not a
not one
single
thing.
pass completed between the hashes.
I think he only attempted 6 actually past the line of scrimmage.
You just have to love the fact that Mike Tomlin is like, you know what? We're going to make this work. Defense, go out there and just rip their heads off. Boy, that leg better be made of gold because
Hey,
you're kicking a lot of field
TJ
goals
Watt
today.
was a freaking animal.
Does anybody know
on
if George
Sunday.
Pickens is okay, by the way? Because that like one end around he just got blown up was really bad.
Moving on to number 2 real fast.
Yep.
Well, real fast is relative in my book. Saquon Barkley this year, because we know that a running back is not allowed to win MVP. Rest in peace, Christian McCaffrey. Saquon Barkley will be your offensive player of the year. Holy wah. Is the Mara family dumber than we ever thought
Yep.
they were? And the New York Giants, as we saw on Sunday, are a giant trash fire that cannot be extinguished. It is the Great Springfield Tire Fire sitting in Rutherford, New Jersey. Saquon Barkley,
That was
good
actually
on
really
you for
funny.
getting out of there, moving across the division and absolutely balling out in Brazil. I don't remember who you played or what happened, but I do remember the fact that you scored 3 touchdowns, and I was like, why did I think that there was going to be any sort of a different result from you, sir? He looks rejuvenated in this offense, and the Philadelphia Eagles with him on them is going to be very scary this year.
Is it? Sorry, back to your first point. Is it more telling that how bad the Falcons are based on the fact that they didn't give up a touchdown and still lost the game?
Yes.
Iowa. They are literally Iowa.
I don't know. Iowa might have won a game like that.
Pittsburgh kicked 8 field goals. Go ahead, Dan.
Last but not least, the NFC North will be the most competitive division in all of professional football this year for 3 extremely different reasons. Number 1, the Bears somehow have decided to put together a defense. I don't know what that's all about, but
Well, they don't have an offense. So
as we're going to find out in a minute from Lil Bro, there's a reason that their defense has to be so good this year.
LB.
Secondly, Detroit, what is anyone going to do to stop them this year? If Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't get the ball, they still have Jamison Williams. It's like a 3-headed monster that's absolutely ridiculous.
And Jahmyr
out there.
Gibbs is really
I
good.
was going to say, you're probably leaving out the most important cog, but go ahead.
I am, because I don't want to give these guys too much
Sure.
shine. And who would have thought that lowly little Sam Darnold would be a fix in Minnesota?
He's not. They play
I
the
don't know
they
if
played
Kevin
the
O'Connell
Giants.
has some sort of
Yeah.
that Mike's like special sauce up there.
No, they played the Giants. That's the special sauce. You know who they play next week, right?
Packers.
No.
49ers.
The 49ers have to come to Minneapolis. Fred Warner is going to eat.
Watch out for that game, because those 49ers, they looked like a paper tiger last night against the Jets.
40 to 3 at worst.
AFC East, Dan. AFC
Yeah.
East.
And also the
you guys
last
might-
team that's in there,
You guys
the
might have-
Green
this-
Bay Packers.
The North might be the worst division.
The
I
Green
agree.
Bay Packers.
He
the
didn't say best.
team in
He said
all
most competitive.
of football.
That's true.
He didn't say best. He
That's
said
true.
most
I said most
competitive.
competitive. Someone has to fight down in the mud.
Yeah, that's one way of looking
But
at it.
I think Detroit's going to run away with it, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not even going to be close.
The AFC East, like, Patriots might be better than we thought.
All right.
Bills,
I
pretty
watched
good.
a
Dolphins, pretty good.
Get off your soapbox.
I
for
watched
a minute.
a
Get off
crazy
your
amount of that
soapbox.
Lions
Get
game,
off your
and I was
soapbox
like,
for a minute, because I
golly.
have a real question for you. The prognosis for Jordan Love is 4 weeks. Do we
Yes.
really expect him to be back in 4 weeks? That looked
Yes.
really bad.
I don't think it was as bad as
They-
you're actually like seeing
They
on film.
I think Matt LaFleur sent up a note to the big man upstairs and is hoping that's the case, because I do not.
So I am just hoping and praying that he comes back, because let me tell you, I will joke all the time about, well, it's time for the Malik Willis experience.
Yeah, it is.
I not excited.
Yeah.
It does not fill me with
So
joy.
excited.
Nor should you be, by the way.
It is going to
Ask the
be
folks in
Justin
Nashville.
Fields passing chart level interesting.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Christian Watson doing the old 5-yard hook route.
There are 3 wins in the NFC North right now total, obviously, because the Packers are the only ones that lost.
Yes.
There might be 5 wins by week 4 for the entire division.
Brody's got one.
Brody,
Oh, I've got one.
LB, what do you got for us?
Caleb Williams. That was one shaky start. I think he continues it all year. I don't
struggle?
think he has a good first year. I think that their offense, it did not look that good with him. For the receivers that he has, he did not look good. I think he's not going to be that good this year.
They got to play the Texans defense next too, and then they got to go to Indianapolis, whose defense looked mightily improved despite having to play a really talented offense.
Yeah, and they have a
on
quarterback
Sunday.
who can throw it 4 miles.
And then they got to play the Rams.
Oh, yeah.
So it might be a really, really rough start for Chicago. I think they start 1-3.
You know what would be really fun is if Anthony Richardson was on Miami.
Oh,
I'm still not sold on Anthony Richardson.
I don't think he's that good either,
Yeah.
but he can throw the ball a half mile.
Yeah, and famously, the
And
Dolphins
Jalen
have wide
Waddle
receivers that
and
can go
Tyreek
get
Hill.
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That would be fun to see.
Now, if he could start throwing 5 yards, I'd be impressed. Hey, if you missed our overreaction to NFL Week 1, check it out at SoundCloud.com/AfterHour16, wherever you may find your podcast at. It was brought to you by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Maybe you want to buy the cheapest ticket in town, get yourself a seat for the Northern Iowa game on Saturday, and you're like, wait, I don't have any polos to wear. You can stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, get yourself a golf polo, a vest, sports coat, quarter zip. They've got it all. They've also got the red N embroidered on it to make sure that you are dressed properly on game days on Saturday in Lincoln. Stop by 78th and Dodge for the best dressed experience in the Midwest. Let John, Dan, and the crew get your suit game right, get your closet ready for game day. Jerry Ryan has been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. What's the hottest take we have for the Nebraska Cornhuskers after 2 games? And what should expectations be in Lincoln going forward? We discussed the other side of the break, 1620 Zone.
Hey everyone, it is Dan Campanen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. And let me tell you something. This past Saturday, I said, you know what? I really do not feel like cooking tonight. So you know what I did instead? I went over to Pepper Jack's Grill and I got my steak gunner Philly with all of the vegetables and that jalapeno juice to make it spicy, plus a side order of their amazing French fries with that ranch that I just cannot get enough of. And I got to watch the Huskers win. And you know why I was able to do that so quickly and make that decision? Because Pepper Jack's has 10 great local locations where you can go and get what you want, when you want, anytime you want. So stop by tonight.
7:37 on a Tuesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com to book a free estimate with Kyle and the team. They can help you with your windows, gutters, siding, roofing. They do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com to book that free estimate tonight. Nebraska, I don't know if you've heard this, but they beat Colorado this weekend. Nobody's talking about it at all. As our signal just went out here in the studio, but we got it back. Nebraska taking on Creighton right now in volleyball, by the way. Huskers up 1-0. Hottest take through 2 games of Nebraska football, and then we'll get to the expectations. For me, I think that Dante Dowdell is the glue guy for this team. That's kind of what
I've
I'm
been loving you some Dante.
I didn't think that until I had an inkling about it in week 1. I think week 2 solidified it for me. I think he's the goods that was promised. We made a lot about the running back room leading up into this season, and I think they kind of took the Dylan Raiola approach to it, where it was like, hey, we got something here, but we've got to keep it in-house and make sure that we make this about the we and not the I. And I think that's what they have in Dante Dowdell. I think he's a tone setter. I think he's a guy that's going to be a representation of this program for a long, long time. And the other thing I'll say is it'll be interesting. We know what Nebraska's recruiting class looks like right now. We know that the offensive lineman that they got a year ago. I'm going to be interested to see what they do on those interior 3 guys in the transfer portal this offseason too.
Hottest take on Nebraska so far. I think the defense is better than it was last year.
Oh, I think it's miles better, which is incredible.
I don't know that it's miles better.
It's miles better.
But I think it's better. And it's not better because the players on the field are better. It's better because it has an offense to back it up. It has an offense that doesn't put it in stupid, bad situations. It has an offense that can score points and take some of the pressure off of it, which allows it to play more free and take a few more risks from time to time, which makes that Tony White 3-3-5 defense more aggressive, more attacking, and better.
You don't need him to win the game.
You don't.
Has anybody noticed that twice in the last 2 weeks there have been second and third and more than 20, and nobody in Memorial Stadium is holding their breath? By the way, 4 for 4 in conversions in those situations. By the way,
defense is better because it has a support system on the other side of the ball,
and I think they're miles better. Like I think the defense is vastly better than it was a year ago, and it was elite a year ago. But a lot of that is because they've got breathing room. They've got time to get some gas on the sideline. Play with fresh legs, Dan.
Yeah, I know we've sort of done this one to death, but I think
do it again.
Deserves being said as many possible times as we can say it.
The Green Bay Packers now.
Shouted. I mean, get me worked up enough and maybe it'll go there. But Dylan Raiola is 100% the guy that we hoped and, more importantly, expected him to be.
And then some, by the way.
Even better than that, yes. I was about to say, even more than that, he's not the fluffy, we need to put a barrier around him kind of guy.
He's the guy that wants to go hug his family after a game. Like, that's what you need. Like, I said this a lot about Adrian when he was here. Like, I had to remind myself often that he was only 23 years old because of the way he conducted himself. We're going to have to remind ourselves a lot that Dylan Raiola is 18 years old. Like, that kid is just...
same age as me.
Yeah, he's literally just been positioned to do this by his family, by the people around him, by the coaching staff. But more importantly, like, he's positioned himself. And in a day and age where it's all about NIL and the flashiness, and let's take one more dig at Colorado. Here's my sweet watch, and I'm a rap star. He's a kid that just wants to go out there and ball and then be around his family afterwards and then get to the NFL and help bring back his father's alma mater.
Yeah,
like, that's what we were promised. And guess what? That's the dude he is.
Yeah, back to the point that I was actually making before Jimmy decided to hop in there and give his thoughts.
It's my show, damn it.
I know. Dylan Raiola is exactly who we hoped he would be as a Nebraska Cornhusker. Because today, in his press conference, he got asked, how do you feel about the comments that Shedeur made about his offensive line? And how do you feel like, when you're having to get those hits and take those hits like in game, like how does that, affect your mental or whatever? I don't know what the exact question was, but it was a good question. And Dylan stood up there.
Do you know who asked it?
Serious as all. I don't. but serious as all as he could possibly be.
Bush
And
League.
he said, the hits have to come. I've got 5 great guys in front of me. And it allows me to say, you know what? I can stand in the pocket for that extra millisecond, get the ball off. And if I have to take those hits, I have to take those hits. I know he's from Georgia. I know he's from Hawaii. I know
It's
he's
from Arizona.
we can move around the entire country. He's moved a lot.
Yeah.
But if that isn't the most corn-fed, down-home Midwestern answer I have ever heard to that question from a quarterback, it got my jimmies rustled.
Did you know he
It
looks
got
like,
my jimmies so rustled that it was going to be the social media soundbite tonight.
Did you know he looks like Patrick Mahomes?
That and kegs, eggs, and football.
Yeah, that was. But by the way,
Amazing.
the quote of the press conference: "Kegs, eggs, and football." Poll question up at After Hours 1620 on Twitter: Is Dylan Raiola the prince who was promised? Hashtag JBR. Hashtag Game of Thrones. If you missed our hot takes on Nebraska football through 2 weeks, check it out at SoundCloud.com/After Hours 1620 is brought to you by AX Plumbing, home or residential. They can do it all. Check out AXPService.com for all your plumbing, water heater, gas piping, and backflow prevention issues. AX Plumbing is locally owned and operated and will leave your home or business cleaner than they found it. There's even a discount for current and former military members as well. Check out AXPService.com to get your plumbing issues fixed today. We're winning you some money and giving you the last call on the other side of the break. We come back, 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody, it's John Schreiner here talking to you once again about Cunningham's Pub and Grill. It's Tuesday. You know what that means? Tomorrow, Wing Wednesday. That's right. Derek and the crew are going to bring us the delicious smoked wings from Cunningham's. And if you haven't had them yet, I don't know why you don't listen to me, first of all. And second, get yourself to Cunningham's and get some of the delicious smoked wings. Luri Sriracha, delicious, fantastic, so unexpected. They're buffalo. It's like no buffalo you've ever had. They make it in-house. It's got a different flavor. It's spicy, and it's delicious. And don't forget to try the Caribbean Jerk dry rub wings, which are also amazing. They all come out smoked. They char them. They roll them in your favorite sauce. They are incredible. But you can't go wrong with anything on the menu at Cunningham's. And the special, the brisket French dip with the caramelized onions, the Swiss cheese, the horseradish sauce, and a little cup of au jus for dipping. All that on a hoagie roll. If you're not hungry by now, you don't have a pulse. Get yourself to Cunningham's, get some great food, get some drinks, and don't forget to go there on Saturdays to watch all the great college football action. They've got great specials, great drink specials, great food. How could you go wrong? It can't be any better. Get yourself to Cunningham's, one of their 2 great locations in Old Mill or Blackstone.
7:48. It is closing time here on 1620 The Zone. I don't know if you guys know this. Hot take alert. We've been giving hot takes all night. Straight fire. Nebraska and Creighton are both really good at
That's
volleyball.
not a hot take. That's a fact.
Nebraska currently on a 3-0 run. They lead 9-7 in the second set. They've already won set one. Did the Huskers over the Jays. We are brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. If you've been affected by the seasonal storms, head over to pyramidroof.com. Book yourself a free estimate, Joe Shanks and the crew. It is time for us to tell you how we did this weekend on our bet. And we did pretty darn good. I went 4-2 in college and the pros. John, you also went 4-2, including 3-0 in your college picks you alluded to earlier. Dan, you technically only went 3-2 because Christian McCaffrey was a late game scratch, so that bet did not count. So as a whole, we went 8-6 this week. We will try to do better, which will be our college picks tonight. I'll start us off. You can get this one in as early as Friday night. UNLV will beat Houston. 2 weeks ago, they upset a Big 12 team. UNLV beat Houston 2 weeks ago. They're going to do it again this Friday night. They're going to roll in Lawrence. They beat Houston.
Ooh.
They're going to beat Kansas on Friday night. They're 7-point underdogs on the road against the Jayhawks. They get it done. UNLV will beat Kansas on Friday night. Just go ahead and take them.
I think that's a really good bounce back spot for KU.
On the money line. I got Houston winning the game. I got UNLV winning the game outright. Give me the under 50.5 in LSU, South Carolina. It's got a Big Ten West vibe all over it. Give me a 20-17 type game and a defensive slugfest. Then Alabama goes to Camp Randall this weekend. Give me Alabama to score the first 30 points in that game. UNLV is plus 205 on the money line. The under in LSU South Carolina is minus 109. And Alabama to score the first 30 points is minus 205, courtesy of our friends over at Warhorse Sportsbook and Casino. John?
I have one for Friday night also. Or sorry, this is your Thursday night game.
Yes.
Arizona State is playing at Texas State.
Correct.
Texas State's getting a lot of love.
It's only a 2.5 point line.
It's a 1 point
Wow.
Arizona State favored. I don't know if you've watched any of Football After Dark this season.
Arizona State's pretty good.
Arizona State's good. I think Arizona State -1, which is, basically a pick 'em. All they got to do is win by 2. Come on,
Even
man.
1 point gets you your money back.
I think they're going to roll Texas State.
Texas State blew out UTSA, who a lot of people were expecting to be the UTSA team from a year ago. They had a 60-year quarterback. They do not this year. I still like Coach Traylor, and I think he's going to get himself a Power 5 job eventually. That UTSA team is not the same team. But
Arizona State -1 is a pretty easy money bet for me.
I like that pick as well.
I got a point total. It's a low one. BYU is somehow playing at Wyoming. How did Wyoming convince BYU to come play at their place? I don't know. But the over-under in this game is 39.5.
That's not a lot.
No, BYU might score 30 by themselves.
Mhm.
Probably will. I think this is an over bet. 39.5, give me the over, BYU and Wyoming. And then I got Texas A&M, Florida. Do you know that Texas A&M is only a half-point favorite in the first quarter?
Yep. That's pretty standard, though. Unless you're playing like Southern Illinois.
I think Texas A&M minus a half point in the first quarter is pretty safe.
Okay.
I like that one.
I think I might go the other way. I think I might take Florida.
All right. Well, you're allowed to do that.
I am. Dan,
For
you're
the
allowed to
rec-
pick also.
I was going to say, for the record, Jimmy, I sent you an email with my picks on it earlier.
Did you? I didn't see that.
Yeah, fun fact, not right. I forgot the format of how we actually do this segment because I am not a good producer and I'm also a fool. But I have corrected myself and I have done right.
Congratulations.
For the point spread, Alabama is at Wisconsin this weekend. News
There's
flash,
a right answer here, by the way.
Newsflash, there's a 15.5 point spread in this game. Give me Alabama. And if you can buy it up,
You can. Makes you more money.
yeah, if you can buy it up to, I don't know, 20, 25, like I'd be comfortable if you said 30.
Wow.
Like
I feel like we're
Alabama,
corrupting Brody.
Alabama's going to come in and they're just going to wreck shop. Speaking of points though, you know who's going to hit the under of 45 this week?
That's not a lot of points.
Notre Dame and Purdue.
Yeah, that's good take.
I don't expect this game to even, well, I do expect it to go over 30 points, but not that far over 30 points. So give me the under of 45 in that Notre Dame and Purdue match. And then my prop bet. I guess you consider this a prop bet.
Notre Dame hasn't even scored 40 points in their 2 games combined, by the way.
Kansas will be the first to 35 points in their game against UNLV.
35.
I don't think they scored
Okay.
35 points, by the way.
Well, if they do, and all 3 of my bets hit, it is plus 709. So that's
There you
pretty
go.
cool.
Yeah, $100
That's
wins you
pretty fresh.
$709. That has been the After Hours Lounge. We're fresh every single night. Our bets were brought to you courtesy of Warhorse Casino Sportsbook over off 63rd and Q. Slot machines, table games, and yes, their sportsbook is now open. You can stop by and bet on any game happening outside of the state of Nebraska. If you or someone you know is having a gambling problem, call 402-806-7344 tonight. This has been the After Hours Lounge. You can catch us wherever you listen to your podcasts at, whether it be SoundCloud.com. Don't forget to head over to 1620thezone.com on our radio replay page under the After Hours tab. For Dan Campen and John Schreiner, Brody Heidemann, I've been Jimmy Allen. Fire up the microwaves, folks. It's happy National TV Dinner Day.
Turkey gravy.